The river outside my window has been the same note for 8 months. E flat, more or less. I used to tune strings to that. Now I tune my day to it. 5:30 in the morning and the Urubamba is doing its thing. This low, constant frequency that fills the valley the way nothing else does. It moves through the walls of this adobe house, through the floor. I can feel it in my sternum before I'm fully awake. Before the rooster, before the church bell, there's just the river, sitting below the range of the thing in my head. And for about 20 minutes every morning, the world is almost quiet. You know what I spent 2 decades listening for? Hi-hats, high-frequency transients, the shimmer in the top 2 octaves of a mix. 6 kilohertz, 8, 10. The frequencies that tell you whether a track breathes or just occupies space. I built a career on hearing things other people couldn't hear. The last thing I heard clearly at high frequency was probably sometime in 2001. I didn't know that yet. That's the part that's hard to explain. My name is Danny Marsh. Daniel Edward Marsh from Murfreesboro, Tennessee. I dropped out of Belmont University in 1985 because Sony Publishing offered me a staff writing deal, $300 a week against royalties. The first thing I wrote that charted was Till You Come Back in 1993. 3 weeks at #1. 50 million people heard that melody, and most of them didn't know my name. And never would. That was the job. That was always the job. A mix is about balance. You raise what needs to be heard, and you pull back what doesn't. Every element fighting for the same 20 hertz to 20 kilohertz. You learn to hear the relationships, not the parts. You get so good at it that you start doing it instinctively. Not just in the studio. I mixed my marriage the way I mixed a track. When Karen got loud, when she was hurt or scared or trying to tell me something important, I pulled her fader down. Not consciously. I did it the way you breathe. I raised work until it was the only thing you could hear in the room. She stayed for 15 years. She left for Nashville in 2003, took the kids, and I stayed in North Hollywood because there was a mixing session in 3 days. That's not in the mix anymore. October 14th, 2003, Sunset Sound, Studio 3, 2 in the morning. The A&R people had left, just the engineer and me. Marcus Webb said, "Danny, you hear the hi-hat weird on the 217? I put on the headphones. The Sony MDR 7506, the ones I'm wearing around my neck right now. Not wearing around my neck like I can't figure out whether to put them on or throw them in the Urubamba. I sat there for 4 minutes. I did not hear the hi-hat. I had not heard anything clearly in the hi-hat range, 6 to 8 kilohertz, in probably 2 years. I had been producing from memory. Building mixes by what I knew a mix should be, not by what I was hearing. Because what I was hearing was the 16 kilohertz sine tone that lives permanently in my left ear and the white noise shower in my right. I said, "Yeah, I hear it, leave it," and I walked out. That "yes, I hear it" wasn't the first one. It was the last one. But it was the 300th or the 400th, strung back over 2 years. All of them efficient and confident and completely hollow. I had been performing an engineer, I no longer was. The lying is what I can't get past. The hearing loss started in 1999. In 2001, the audiologist showed me the curve going off a cliff above 3,000 hertz. I said thank you and went back to the studio. I kept going for 2 more years. Not because I was brave, because the work was the only thing I knew how to do. And if I acknowledged that I couldn't do it anymore, I would have to sit with what I had given the hearing up for. My daughter Amy was 8 in 2001. I told her I was fine. The same flat, confident tone as the lie to Marcus. Amy is 31 now. She's in Nashville. The last time we made music together, she was 8 years old, and I played You Are My Sunshine on a guitar, and she sang, and I heard her. I don't have a way to hear her sing again. That's not a metaphor. That's the accounting. I came to Peru because of a postcard from a musician named Claudio, who grew up in Cusco. He wrote, "The river here is below the frequency of what hurts. Come if you need somewhere to not hear yourself." I kept the postcard for 3 years. In 2008, I bought a ticket. I haven't gone back to California since. Doña Lucia Mamani has been renting me this adobe house for 16 years. 1 room, 40 square meters, a table, a chair, 1 window facing the Urubamba. On the peg on the wall, the Sony MDR 7506. Still there, still not in use. I have filled 43 manuscript notebooks since 2008. None of these melodies will ever be recorded. They're not waiting for production. They're not a practice run. They are the thing itself. A mix requires an audience. The mix doesn't exist without the speakers, without the room, without the ears that are going to receive it. The mix I make now is for no one. It exists only in the staff lines. The first time I understood that this was acceptable to me, I sat for a long time without writing anything. Then I kept writing. Out here, the mix is just the river and the wind and the church bell at 7. Nobody asked me to balance anything. There's no fader. The Urubamba is too loud some mornings. It has no sense of proportion, no awareness of the overall mix. The wind off the Nevado Pisac comes in at whatever frequency the morning temperature sets, and it does not accommodate. The church bell at 7 is precise and dry and gone in 3 seconds, and then there's just the river again. It's not a good mix, but it's the first one I'm not responsible for. At 5:30 this morning, the Urubamba was E flat. I sat at the table and worked on the melody that has no key signature and no resolution and no audience. The melody went somewhere I hadn't expected, a minor 6th in the 4th bar that pulled the line into a register I know works on paper and can't verify anymore. I stopped when the rooster started. I looked at the 7506 on the peg. I don't know if it's any good. I don't have the equipment to find out anymore.